Greetings and salutations, and after 9 weeks, we finally got our opening to work. Woohoo! Yes, and welcome to Learning the Ropes. I'm XLJ, the OG, along with the one and only Mr. B-Roll, and you can see we got a beautiful, handsome face with us tonight, too. Isn't that right, Mr. B-Roll?
Yeah, because that's true, because whoever's producing this thing totally forgot that we were supposed to remove him.
That's all right. We're bringing him in early. It's all right. We got the one, right. The only, the CDC. Oh. It's a long intro. Are we going to listen to the whole song?
Yeah.
All right. So we got CDC with us as we walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Oh, that's awkward. Anywho, yeah, I know. Hey, he what? It's only been a couple weeks. R.I.P. Cool.
This is what I can do. This is the power I have.
Hello, I'm your new host. No. And now we're all gone.
Yeah. Maniac. Ego maniac over here. You know what you get for that?
War games.
Already we're off the rails. Because that's what it is here on Learning the Ropes. All right. Whew. Hey, this is going to be a fun-filled, action-packed night. As you can see, we got our... Hi, Bree. I see. Well, I kind of copied off him, but yeah. I still got it right. Brownie points. I'm getting better and better. So, yeah, this is going to be a fun episode because we're going to be talking all things New Japan. As you can see with my New Japan jacket I got on here, my Los Ingobernables shirt. But anyways, as we always like to do with our shows when we start off, how about a little plug-a-palooza? Oh, but first, the K-Wolf just subscribed for 3 months in a row. Yeah! There you go.
Welcome.
Out of that. Appreciate the crap out of that. Well, we're only less than 8 minutes in, and we're already off the rails, like you said.
That's how we do it. That's how we roll.
That's how we roll, because I am Mr. B. Roll. Ooh, I'm going to get gimmick infringement if I do.
Hey, you know what, though? Hey, first things first, before we get too far here down this rabbit hole. See what I did there? The rabbit. I got to commend you, sir. I'm going to put you over right now because you've had a heck of a week, my friend. Folks, you are looking at the man who has convinced the great Dave LaGreca, host of Busted Open, the #1 wrestling show on Sirius Radio, to join the Tiki Taki. That's right. He's going to become one of us, starting Monday. And I'm sure Mr. B-Roll is going to have some more information on that later in the show. But, yeah, we all need to welcome Mr. LaGreca with open arms. If you don't know, Busted Open is an amazing show. It's been on for, I think over 10 years at this point. And they have some awesome, it's just an awesome show. Listen to it on Sirius Fight Nation, Channel 156. But yes, kudos to you, sir, for badgering Mr. LaGreca on Twitter, so much so that you got him to join the Tiki Taki, and he'll be here on Monday. So like I say, we need to welcome him up with open arms. But you are the man with your amazing skill set of, you got people knocking down your door trying to get graphics from you and stuff. You're killing it, my friend. I couldn't be prouder. So there you go. What's up, Hambone?
What is up, Hambone? And as we dive in deep to our plug-a-palooza, CDC, if you could just flash your shirt up real quick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. Look at this.
Yeah.
Let's go this way.
That's sexy.
He has the exclusive, not FTR, but the LTR, the Learning the Ropes, Living and Learning t-shirt.
That's a beautiful shirt.
It is probably we have a couple of shirts, but that is probably our favorite. We would say
Yes.
easily. And you can get that shirt as well as our Cool TV shirt or our other Learning the Ropes shirt, all over at Sweet Doll Face Creations. I'll get the link here in the comments here in just a little bit. That way you
Can I
can
have
get
a little note
right
on
on
that?
over.
Yeah.
What?
I didn't just if you are looking for the shirt, it was actually under I think the new arrivals section. I didn't find it under the learning the ropes section right away, but it was right there on the new arrivals. So if you have trouble finding it, try there first.
Bam.
Yeah.
Buy the shirt. Buy the shirt.
Yeah, I think she has. Well, you're not gonna be able to see that, but there is on the top a thing that says Cold TV. I think everything of ours is under there. I do believe. But if you would be so kind, because not only are you supporting us as content creators, but you are supporting a small business. And as CDC can attest to, he ordered it last week during this show,
Yep.
and he already has
got it.
So it's
Yeah,
a
it was
very
like
quick
Wednesday or
very quick
Thursday.
turnaround time. Very quick
That's
turnaround
quick.
time. She gets the job done, no messing around. And if
Yes,
I
sir.
could just also, as we're on merch, our one of our partners in crime or whatever you can call it, host of another show, Selfbet, he is doing a fundraiser right now for breast cancer awareness because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Um, and he's doing a fundraiser where he's added like the pink ribbons to his shirt. So honestly,
It's pretty awesome.
I plan on ordering mine Friday because it's payday Friday for me this Friday. So make sure you get on over there because there's not just our stuff. There's tons of your favorite Panda Wrestling Company creators over there, as well as the Panda shirt. There's just tons over there. Go check it out. And then, Mr. Cole, could you tell us what we have going on Cole TV this week?
Absolutely, Mr. B-Roll. So we got an exciting week planned for you here on Cole TV. So on Tuesday is going to be our Extreme Rules reaction show. So the fallout from Extreme Rules, all the madness of that card, and of course the White Rabbit reveal. You can see all of that on Tuesday. Now on Wednesday, you're going to get a very special concert vlog, which I'm not gonna lie, it's outside of my realm, but it was kind of unique experience, sorta. It made my wife happy anyway. The Chicks, that's right, not to be confused with the Dixie Chicks, because we can't say that. But the Chicks concert vlog will be up on Wednesday. And like I say, you may not be a country music fan. I know I'm not, but it was a unique show and a unique experience, and you can see that on Wednesday. And
freaking Dixie Chicks.
no, bro, you're gonna get sued. No. Cease
What
and
are they gonna
desist.
do? Ban me off Twitch?
Could possibly, or the chick's lawyers will find you and castrate you or something. I don't know. Anyways, enough about castration. And on Thursday, you can actually catch a replay of this show. We're going to start posting the replays of Learning the Ropes every Thursday. That's what you got cooking on Cole TV this week. And hey, later on in the show, I'm going to reveal to you all the latest subscriber to Cole TV. It's a pretty cool cat. You're going to want to check it out. But that's going to come a little bit later. And Mr. B-Roll, why don't you tell us about this right here, if you don't mind? Not here or here, but right here. The coffee?
Rootless Coffee. Use code Panda Coffee to save 15%.
Yeah. Is that all you got? I mean, that's okay.
But not on collabs.
But not on collabs. That is correct.
That's right. And what's that you got there?
It's a
damn
fine cup of coffee. Yes, use code Panda Coffee to save 15% all non-collabs, and you can even save it on merch.
There you go.
Last but not least, can't talk today. Still recovering from last night, guys. Definitely. But you have found us here on the Panda Wrestling Company Twitch channel. Go ahead, feel free to like and subscribe. Honestly, what happened there is I slammed this down on the desk so much, I scared myself.
Hell, you scared my dogs too because they're barking in the background in the other room. If you can hear them, sorry, not sorry. Hey, yeah, there you go, man. So yeah, the Panda Coffee, you gotta get that from the Rootless. Okay, that's not Panda Coffee, but you know what I'm saying. You got me all thrown off now, bro. It's just off the rails. Yeah, like you say, we're still recovering from Extreme Rules. But seriously though, what a great weekend for professional wrestling. Like once again, everybody's talking Extreme Rules. Let me just throw this out there. If y'all ain't seen Bound for Glory from Impact, y'all need to watch that. That's a damn good show. Killer main event with Eddie Edwards and Josh Alexander. Masa Slamovich and Jordan Grace was phenomenal. Motor City Machine Guns and the Kingdom, great tag match. Freaking awesome show. Speedball Mike Bailey, Frankie Kazarian was an amazing one too. Yeah, if you haven't done so, catch the replay on it. Impact doesn't pay me nothing, but it's a damn good show.
I plan on watching that bad boy tomorrow.
Pretty awesome.
And
GCW.
Also.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
1 and 2. I didn't catch either one because I was busy, but I plan on catching the replays.
Yeah. And that's right. Hambone was there at Bound for Glory. How was the crowd there, sir? Because I know that was in your neck of the woods. Good evening, Dad Hat. Welcome. But yeah, Bound for Glory, like watching it, it was awesome. Like the crowd looked great, like they was into it. I mean, there wasn't like a dull moment. You got some surprises with Bully Ray showing up in the gauntlet for the gold. Oh, sorry, I spoiled it for you, Mr. B-roll. But yeah,
I already knew that though.
Yeah, I figured you did. So, but yeah, that was a great GCW Extreme Rules. Crowd was actually pretty hot and into the show. I could totally see that. That came across on TV very well. Even the premiere of SmackDown was awesome, and Rampage and to Battle of the Belts was great. Like I say, it's a great weekend of wrestling. So, and we're happy you all are joining us here on Sunday night as we are winding down this weekend of incredible, awesome action. All right, so let's just get right into the topic at hand, gentlemen. We are talking all things New Japan.
Oh man.
Oh, were you going for a Mongolian chop there?
No, I was just yelling War Games.
War Game. Oh, I should. Here we go.
War Games.
All things War Games.
War Games.
War Games. Would it be funny if there was a War Games match in New Japan? I mean, it wouldn't fit with the style, I don't think, but it'd be, well, maybe. I don't know. A guy can dream.
The physical style, it would
Yeah, the physical. Yeah, the physical. That's a good. CDC, you can answer this. We're kind of going to start off crazy here. I don't believe there's ever been a cage match in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Not that I can think of.
I don't know the history as well, but I mean, I can't think of anything within the last, since I've been watching it since 2015, 16 or whatever it was, that I don't recall there ever being a cage match. I mean, there could have been, but nothing jumps to mind.
Yeah, and that's the thing. New Japan. Thank you, Hambone. Exactly. They don't really do gimmick matches. They have done a ladder match.
There was a dog cage match.
A dog cage match.
Yeah.
Was that with Yano?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Of course it was, because why wouldn't it be?
Actually, they had another one with the House of Torture, and I can't recall who also, but.
Well, I could buy into that too as well. But yeah, New Japan Pro Wrestling, the longest running promotion in all of Japanese wrestling. So we're just going to focus on New Japan. We're not going to be talking about Old Japan or any other Japanese promotions tonight. I mean, that would be like a series of episodes. So we're just going to try to focus on New Japan. Oh, Hambone despises Yano. Okay.
Yeah, I read that. You know what? Yano is what Yano is. You either can just deal with it or you can't.
I don't even know who Yano is, so I'm already learning.
You probably have seen him before. So the interesting thing to me about Yano is how he started off, as your typical Japanese wrestler and then just adopting that comedic gimmick. So he's pretty much, Brent, he's essentially like the comedic wrestler of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yep.
He's kind of like the R-Truth of New Japan, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Only, I think,
I'm
funnier, but yeah.
I'm Googling it right now, so.
Yeah, he's always back. Well, I don't know if he's. I don't think he's truly selling DVDs anymore. But I always remember him coming out with DVDs like of Chaos and shit like that, the best ofs and stuff. But no, New Japan.
He looks like a fun guy. He looks like I could
Yeah.
have a beer with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
His matches are always entertaining, just for the stupid factor. It's like you can always expect nonsense in a Yano match. You're rarely going to see anything be, by the books.
Wow, Matt Ward Games bringing the heat. So Geto needs to put it on Tama Tonga. I tell you what, I was happy as a pig in shit when Tama Tonga won his block in the G1 this year. That blew my mind. I did not think that was going to happen. CDC, what did you think when that happened? Did that surprise you too?
It didn't surprise me, but at the same point, I figured there was going to be some nonsense with it. But I was kind of happy to see it happen. Thomas is one of those people who's just had a great run, even with the tag stuff. And I kind of agree with Matt. I'd love to see the belt on him. I don't see it happening anytime soon still, because that's just not how they work. So I'm going to enjoy the ride regardless. Love seeing them get his little brother back with him.
Yeah.
With
Yeah. But no, let me ask you this: do you think Tama Tonga is a future IWGP champion, world champion?
If you're talking about the heavyweight world or whatever they want to call it, I hate to say it, but no, I don't. I'd love to see it, but if I'm just going by what I've seen and what I know,
the history,
I could see them, putting the Never title on him. I guess he already has the Never title. I don't know why I'm saying that. I could see them giving him the U.S. title with it. But, if the Intercontinental title was still around, I could totally see him with that around his waist. But the big title, I don't, at the moment, things could totally change. Wrestle Kingdom's around the corner. They got Power Struggle, or it's not Power Struggle, it's Dominance. I can't remember what it's called. That's coming up in a day or two, or actually probably a couple hours. I mean, there could be a total shift going on there that might sway my opinion, but if I just go on the totality of what I've seen them do with him so far, and then just the history of what they do with wrestlers that are, chasing that tier, I don't see it anytime soon, and he's up there in age, so I'm not sure we will.
I think he's kind of going to be one of those guys who's like always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I'm like you. I think the biggest he would get was maybe like a decent U.S. title run. Hell, maybe a G1. I think that's kind of a stretch. But you could see him in a Wrestle King. It just would have to be a lot of right circumstances. I'm like you. I'd love to see it. I love Tama Tonga. Especially being one of the original Bullet Club members. I mean, one of the founders. It'd be awesome, but I don't know. It's kind of, I'm like you with their booking and stuff. It'd be hard to believe, but you never know. Never say never, especially in the world of professional wrestling.
I guess that's the other thing, just thinking about it with them, just before the pandemic happened, they had a big plan for a big push in the U.S. market, and they've kind of been, still going towards it, but not as big as I think they probably originally planned. So if they're gonna keep a bigger push, then they're gonna have to kind of change their mindset on booking a little bit also, just to kind of captivate an American audience better. I mean, I'm fine with how they book the stuff. I enjoy it. I love New Japan for exactly what it is. I know what I'm getting out of it. But if they are going to expand, they're going to have to kind of take on that thought process that you can't have builds that take 5 years to get a championship on someone.
Yeah, the Kings Road style, like you would lose fans here in in North America like that.
Yeah.
But I'm like you though. I do love that storytelling. I couldn't agree with you more. But let's talk about here the history of New Japan, how it all got started. We mentioned this last week, of course. Still fresh. Lost the late great Antonio Inoki, who formed up New Japan Pro Wrestling back in 1972. But man, his legacy, and all the stuff that Inoki did, I mean, it's just like, people say, oh, he's the Hulk Hogan of Japan. I'd say he's the freaking Antonio Inoki of Japan. I mean, come on, he's like in his own class unto himself. I mean, everything he did as far as like founding New Japan Pro Wrestling. intermixing like strong style. Like I did TikTok on this. I said without him you don't have strong style. Without him you don't have the MMA style that was influenced into professional wrestling. Of course, you don't have New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, look at all the stuff, his accolades he's did. Like really one of the first MMA fights, if you think about, with him and Muhammad Ali all those years ago. Of course, everybody talks about them going over to Korea and the Collision in Korea event in 1995. I mean, who would have thunk they ever would have went over to such a a controversial country and pull off a show there? And of course, his accolades he did outside of wrestling, being like a famous politician and stuff. But the legacy of Antonio Inoki will live long and on and on forever and ever.
Yeah.
And a big part of that legacy is New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, and like I said last week, like only been a fan for less than a year, and it would be next to impossible for me not to see the impact that he had on the wrestling industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I
So,
could chance
oh, yeah.
to defend it, because I think they were already probably planning to release some of this stuff anyways, but on New Japan, or sorry, let me rephrase this, on NJPWworld.com, if you don't have a subscription, that's fine. They have, under the recommended section, a ton of free Antonio Inoki matches. I mean, just going through here, 98 versus him and Don Fry, 96 him and Vader, 94 Muda, sorry, one of them's English. I was confused there. Some tag matches, Rikachoshu matches.
There you go.
Saito matches, Bruce Brody matches, Abdullah the Butcher matches. I mean, they've probably got close to 20 matches in here. And again, free. You don't have to pay to watch these.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, if you truly want to see a legend, yeah, you should definitely go check that out. Those are some awesome matches you listed. Man, I remember him against Vader. Good God, it was just like, it was like that meme that Big E did, like, big meaty man slapping meat. Oh my God, they just beat the horse shit out of each other.
And even the Hulk Hogan matches on there too. So if you actually want to see Hulk Hogan put some actual wrestling moves on someone, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
See, I've already learned something. I never knew he went over to New Japan, so there you go.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get right into it because Hulk Hogan's a big part of the New Japan history, believe it or not.
Really?
So the very first event ever held was actually the opening series. This was held on March the 6th of 1972 at the Auto Ward Gymnasium in Tokyo. Now, your main event saw Antonio Inoki take on the man who trained him, Karl Gotch. And, of course, Gotch went over in Japan. That was the very first ever New Japan event. Now, a year afterwards, they formed a relationship with TV Asahi, and pretty much they've been with them ever since as far as their distributing partner there in Japan, being on television. Of course, television in Japan, versus here in North America is a lot different. I don't think like ratings is as big of a, like what we look at here in North America. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So one thing that New Japan's well known for is their tournaments. And they've been doing tournaments pretty much since 1974. It started with the World League, which was pretty much the precursor to the G1. And then from the World League, it became the MSG League. Now, you mentioned Hulk Hogan. This is going to blow your mind, Mr. B-Roll.
Ready.
1983, the winner of the MSG League would be declared the IWGP champion. So this was actually, the IWGP title back then, it was actually defended annually. So it wasn't defended like on a monthly basis or something like that. It was just like yearly. It was defended. It was like you won the tournament and then you defended it the next year. Guess who the first IWGP champion was, Mr. B-Roll?
No.
That's right. Hulk Hogan is actually the first IWGP champion. He beat Antonio Inoki in the finals. Yeah, your mind's blown. It was blown last night by the White Rabbit being Bray Wyatt, but now you're like, what the hell? Hulk Hogan's the IWGP champion? That's
Okay,
right.
let's pause for just a moment. Can you imagine that going over in a social media era?
Well, one thing you got to keep in mind too, when Hogan won this, it was like he wasn't nearly as popular in North America yet. That was starting to happen. Like the AWA stuff was starting to build up. He hadn't done Rocky 3 yet. I mean, true blue, like what everybody knows, Hulkamania didn't even take off really truly till like '84. Of course, it all started really in the AWA, but at this point, it was just like still like he was kind of like just the big bad monster. I mean, once he did Rocky 3, I mean that put Hulk Hogan on the map. But yeah, Hogan was your first IWGP Heavyweight Champion. So now the tournament in 1987 would actually crown the first ever IWGP Heavyweight Champion, to where it would be defended on a normal basis. And in the finals, Antonio Inoki would beat Masa Saito, so thus becoming the first IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, which I know is kind of confusing because it's like, well, Hogan's the first IWGP champion, but it's, I don't know, there's just a difference. It's New Japan. They get a pass. So there you
Lost
go, Mr.
translation.
What's that?
Lost in translation.
Lost in translation, exactly. So now let's talk about some of the original stars of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Of course, we all know Antonio Inoki, but he did have some other guys there too. First one that comes to mind, Tatsumi the Dragon Fujinami. Man, there's another one you should check out. B-roll. Started off his career as in a junior role, and then just worked his way up to heavyweights, which you kind of saw a trend of that happen when Japanese wrestling with a lot of different other stars. But Fujinami, man, I always remember back in this day, even as a kid, I remember his first match I saw of his was Super Brawl 1 against Ric Flair. And I didn't really understand that storyline and stuff, but like I just remember watching the match, and it was like a very physical match. But any Fujinami against Flair match was always awesome, I thought. Seiji Sakaguchi, another very popular New Japan pro wrestler there in the 80s into the early 90s. Of course, we got to talk about this legend, Riki Choshu, who was a badass. I always stuck out for me is how like he never wore like knee pads, and he always was rocking like that sweet ass like mullet kind of, you know. I mean, he just looked like somebody. Riki Choshu reminded me of like my neighbor who like mows his lawn religiously every Saturday and drinks a case of beer while doing so, and you just don't fuck with him. I loved me some Riki Choshu. And I mentioned him too, of course, as well, Masa Saito, another very popular wrestler there in the early years of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm going to kind of go bounce around here. CDC, I wanted to ask you, what was your first like experience? Like, you remember watching New Japan Pro Wrestling? Like, did it happen to you as a kid, or later on as an adult? Did you kind of find it, or do tape trading, or?
Yeah, no, I knew of New Japan, but never really like saw anything except for like, you know, when they randomly were on WCW back in the day. So my real first exposure was hearing all this talk about this guy named Kenny Omega. I don't know if you guys have heard about him or not.
I don't think I've heard of him.
Yeah, this other person, something Okada. I don't know. He makes it rain apparently. Anyways, I was hearing all this talk about this match that they had at Wrestle Kingdom, and like how it was
Tokyo Dome. Sorry, I had to do that.
How it was just some sort of amazing match, one of the best matches ever made. I was like, well, I mean, there's enough people talking about this. Maybe I should check it out. So I found some clips of it first on YouTube, and I was like, this does look pretty crazy. Eventually, I found like a full thing of the match, and I kind of was like, what is this? This is it hit all the right spots for me. Ended up after watching that, deciding that I want to see the entire thing. Started to dive in and kind of figure out how I can go about that, and learn that, well, you kind of have to either find illegal streams, illegal stuff, or you do the right thing and just go onto this website, click the little button to put it in English so you know what the heck you're looking at, and just follow the steps from there.
It's only 999 yen for the month, aka
Yeah.
$9.99.
Great. I mean, you're talking less than $8 most of the time.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I'm similar to you. Like, I remember as a kid, like, kind of seeing it intertwined in WCW, seeing guys like the Great Muta, seeing guys like Jushin Thunder Liger and stuff. The one that always stuck out to me was Starrcade 95, where they did the WCW versus New Japan, where it's like a best of 7 matches, pretty much. And I mean, that introduced guys like Hiroshi Tensan, who I was seeing for the first time, and oh gosh, Jushin Thunder Liger, of course, I'd already seen. And then Shinjiro Otani was another one in that like series as well. You got to see Masahiro Chono, which I remember Chono's stuff in '92 in WCW was pretty sweet too, when he was the NWA World Champion. But that was kind of like my first real experience with it. And then like you, I was a couple years ahead because I kept hearing like about this Wrestle Kingdom and like how Wrestle Kingdom's supposed to be like this massive show. And I remember they said that they were going to be putting it on pay-per-view, and it was actually Wrestle Kingdom 9. And I was just like, you know what, I'm going to check this out. And they were like, Jim Ross is going to be do color commentary. I'm like, okay, this shit's got to be legit then. And then sure enough, I remember watching that, and that night I pretty much like, it was like, okay, I'm all in on New Japan Pro Wrestling because I saw for the first time ever Shinsuke Nakamura. And like just his entrance alone, him coming out and just the aura around him and stuff. And oh yeah, by the way, he wrestled a guy you may have heard of, Kota Ibushi, in a hell of a match for the Intercontinental title. And that wasn't even the main event on that show. So for me, it was like Wrestle Kingdom 9, and then I just remember like really getting into the Wrestle Kingdoms. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Wrestle Kingdoms. Now, Mr. B-Roll, I know you haven't watched a whole lot of New Japan. Like, I think I kind of really started kind of hyping it up for you right before Forbidden Door, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But had you watched any before that?
I mean, no, not. I mean, not
I think
really.
you just kind of came across it in, like your history of wrestling
Yeah,
TikToks you do.
crossed it in the history, and really, remember Windy City Riot?
Oh yes, yeah. Where it was Mox against Will Ospreay, right? Yeah.
What was the one before that?
That was a show here in America.
Yeah.
They had the one at the Olympic Auditorium, where it was Tanahashi against Lance Archer for the U.S. title.
I think it was kind of just like, honestly, it was those like I guess it would be the New Japan Strong show, where it was kind of intermixed with the AEW talent, because that's what had gotten me interested was AEW. And so you just start seeing this stuff, and then, kind of gradually, from there. And yes, Forbidden Door just took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot more about Forbidden Door here in a little bit as well. I want to talk about the next era there in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I think one of the more definitive eras, definitely in the 90s. And when you talk about the 90s in New Japan Pro Wrestling, there's three names that come to mind. First of all, you got to talk about the original Three Musketeers. You hear people talk about the full 4 pillars in All Japan, and they're great in their own respect. But man, the Three Musketeers, you had the Great Muta, who we already knew from WCW, seeing him years prior and stuff. Masahiro Chono, who I mentioned before, of course. His stuff we saw in WCW in '92 and so on. But I think, as good as those guys are, maybe the best one out of them all, Shinya Hashimoto. I freaking love me some Shinya Hashimoto matches. Another guy, stiff as hell, kind of like a heavier set dude. So he kind of reminds me like if I was like to really focus and go to the gym and get in like really good shape, but like if I wanted to just look like him, I'd be okay with it. But just like a badass man. And like I say, the dude was super stiff, like all Japanese wrestlers really. But the Three Musketeers, you got to mention those guys and the legacy that they had. Of course, unfortunately, Shinya Hashimoto no longer with us. He died several years ago. But man, what do you think, CDC? What's your thoughts on like the importance of the original Three Musketeers and what they did for New Japan as well as wrestling?
Well, I mean, obviously they brought enough of it up front that towards the 90s, they started to be able to bring this style to an American audience because there's actually enough of a build just, pre-internet days that there's enough talk that they, took a leap of faith with it with WCW to try this out. Hindsight 2020 is, it's only was as good as it was going to be because video packages weren't like what they are with like WWE and whatnot today.
No.
If you take WWE's production value for video packages today and put it back then, I mean,
my gosh,
we probably would have had this like as an annual thing, bringing over talent and like just building up what's going on. But I would say, I think at least of those three, Chono's the one that I could say I've seen probably more matches of on the New Japan streaming service. Just for when they do their free stuff on Mondays, that's one that comes up, or I'll get on a deep dive where I see like other stuff of his and kind of watch there. Muda's just been around forever, like outside of even Japan. So, I mean, I've seen tons of his stuff through the years as well with American companies that he's worked with. So I think if you're going to say impact wise, Muda, especially because he's, coming back again now in AEW, reappearances. And he's just one of those people that he's just been around forever. And he just has been just like an iconic figure of Japanese
an icon.
wrestling.
Yeah, an icon.
Yeah. I mean, the Mist, the face, which I know you had other wrestlers doing the Mist before him, like Great Kabuki and stuff, but still, though, like, and I think what the best thing that did for him was, like, in his younger years, really when his first real excursion in America was in, like, the 1989. He had a hell of a run there in the NWA, won the TV title, feuding with Sting, ended up was put in a program with, like, feuding with Ric Flair as part as Terry Funk's partner. I mean, yeah, you can't ask for him. That may be like the single greatest run of like any young Japanese talent coming across over here to North America that I can think of, honestly. But yeah, the Three Musketeers, man, like those guys was awesome. But there's a lot of great other wrestling stars from the '90s too. There for the New Japan Pro Wrestling, we got to talk about. How about Hiroshi Hase? Which I found out, I didn't know this in doing my research. I didn't know Hase is like another one of those guys who ended up becoming a politician. And the dude shaved his mustache, and it looks weird as hell to me. Because I always was like, that dude has one of the sweetest stashes I've ever seen on any person whatsoever. Like, it was just like, right here, boom. You should Google him, Hiroshi Hase, Mr. B-Roll.
Doing it right now.
Another one who arguably a lot of people say is easily in the top 10, if not the top 5 greatest IWGP champions of all time, Kensuke Sasaki. I remember seeing Kensuke Sasaki's stuff in WCW in the 90s. I remember him winning the United States title and defeating Sting for it. And them kind of feuding there for a little while. Did you look it up? You look like you're in amazement.
Yeah, I'm getting stash, and then I'm getting no stash, and it's like...
It's weird, isn't it? I'm just like, what the hell, dude? But Kensuke Sasaki was awesome. I mentioned this guy earlier, Hiroshi Tenzan. My first match I ever saw of him was against the Macho Man at Starrcade 95, and I just remember him coming out, and he had on, like, the horns and stuff. I was like, who the hell is this guy? And then just, like, he's just stiff as hell. Tenzan, another amazing wrestler, easily in the the Mongolian chop, baby. You got to talk. Can we get a Mongolian chop, CDC? Love it.
That's more of a con one, but can see
that's
it.
Okay.
That's
okay.
Hold on, I have things to do.
You got things to do. All right.
All right, clip it.
Hey. In the same sense, we talked about Tenzan. You got to mention his partner, Satoshi Kojima. And I got to say, I had the pleasure of actually getting to see Kojima live in person at All Out in 2021 as he was John Moxley's opponent. And, man, that guy does not have an ounce of body fat on him. And the guy's like damn near 50.
And he loves bread.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? What are you doing, bro? Like, I need to know the secret. Kojima, man.
Bread is a
Oh,
secret. He's got to be part of Bread Club. That's all.
his run he had too there, and I want to say it was like I can't remember. I think it was going into. I can remember the Wrestle Kingdom. Like it was Wrestle Kingdom 5, I believe, where he literally was the IWGP champion. He won the G1 Climax. I mean, the man's at that point was in his 40s, and also too, a former Triple Crown winner as well. I mean, there's not that many people that can say that they won the IWGP and the Triple Crown Championship. So Kojima, bad mother trucker.
You're safe for now. I'm gonna have to go back later.
Okay, I was like, you look like you're doing something there. So
He's also got
trying
some
to
good
clip
chops.
Manabu Nakanashi. I know I butchered the hell of his name, but he was another big stud, beastly man who was a badass among those lines with like a Kojima with like a Tensan. But the one thing I want to talk about that always stuck out to me with New Japan Pro Wrestling, the juniors division, and the impact of the juniors and what all they did for New Japan. And the very first one that comes to mind, you got to talk about, and this is going way back in the early years of New Japan, the legacy of Tiger Mask. And it's just interesting because there's been so many different interpretations of Tiger Mask through the years. Of course, the original Tiger Mask was Satoru Sayami, and a lot of people remember him from like he did have a run there in the WWF way back in the day. Was the I believe he was the first light heavyweight champion for them. And a lot of people remember his matches he had with the Dynamite Kid. Now, interestingly enough, after he pretty much retired or gave up the mantle of Tiger Mask, All Japan bought the rights to Tiger Mask. And the second Tiger Mask is a guy, if you know Japanese wrestling, you may be familiar with. Mitsuhara Masawa was the second Tiger Mask. And then when you got to the third Tiger Mask, at that point, New Japan had got the rights back for the character. And your third Tiger Mask was Koji Kanemoto. And he had a legendary rivalry with Jushin Thunder Liger. Matter of fact, they even had a match where he put it was mask versus match, and well, of course, Kanemoto lost. And then the fourth Tiger Mask, who's still your current Tiger Mask and the longest reigning Tiger Mask, Yoshihiro Yamasaki, and still wrestling to this day. Like I think less than a year ago he was a IWGP Junior champion. He had that run there with what's the kid? Is it Eagles when he was champion with Robbie Eagles? Yeah. But the history of Tiger Mask is very interesting. And you got to keep in mind too here, Mr. B-Roll, like that character was all kind of like designed around like an anime character, but
Yep.
we're
Even
talking.
I've heard of Tiger Mask.
There you go. If you've heard of him, then pretty much anybody else has had to heard of him.
And boys,
But of course,
I realized something. I don't have my shot with me, so I'm going to be right back.
You don't have your alcohol?
Shot, yes.
Oh, that's important.
It is.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll still have my headphones on so I can still hear you. So don't say anything bad about me.
Okay. Or he's going to go into gimmick mode and come out as a luchador, as the Fiend or something. Oh, I just gave away a secret. I'm just kidding. We're talking juniors, though, man, and you got to talk about like the most famous junior of all, one of the greatest wrestlers in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Jushin Thunder Liger. Man, Liger. Okay, so Muda and like Chono and Liger was like the first three I remember as far as seeing like wrestle, as far as a Japanese wrestler. And Liger, I was attracted to as a kid because I was like, what the hell is this guy wearing? You know. And for me, my first memory of him actually was Starrcade 1991, the Lethal Lottery. And believe it or not, he was actually partnered up with former World's Strongest Man, Bill Kazmaier. You talk about an odd couple, man. But I just remember watching Liger and then hearing Jim Ross's commentary on him. And just like he was just like putting Liger over, like, oh, look at those high kicks, look at those karate kicks, those speedy karate kicks. It was like JR was like calling the commentary, but at the same time he didn't like quite know what the hell he was talking about. But anyways, Liger, and of course you got to talk about the series of matches he had with Flying Brian back in the day. Oh my God. I think I've watched the match with him and Flying Brian from Super Brawl 2 probably like 100 times. I mean, seriously. Do you have any early memories of Liger back in the day?
Yeah, but I want to take a quick second with Hambone's comment there. Yes.
Oh,
That whole series run where he also like took his mask off and had the crazy face paint too, that was just awesome. That entire run.
yeah, where he was like Dark Liger or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, I wanted to call Hambo that. He's totally right. That was just an awesome run. And yeah, it was really great seeing Suzuki and him in that final showdown there. Honestly, my earliest memory of Liger is, I'm not sure that it's real, is I feel like there was this really terrible PlayStation game called WCW versus the World, and he was a selectable character in it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think you're right. I think he was a character on there. And it was funny too. It's funny you mentioned that because I remember like playing like that, and then the 64 like NWO versus the World. And I mean, you could get a lot of the New Japan guys on there. Kishin Liger, yeah, Battle Liger. That's right. Yeah. That was badass. And his last run, yeah, that last year. And I love the send-off he got at like Wrestle Kingdom, like those 2 nights in a row, and like him putting over Hiromi like on the last night. I mean, it's just like, man, chef's kiss right there. And it's great to see Liger still with the company, still doing color commentary and stuff. I mean, Liger is one of those guys that's right up there with Muda, with Chono, Hashimoto, even like nowadays with Okada and Tanahashi, as far as like the top faces of the company. When you say New Japan, he's one of the first faces I go to by far. I also loved his stuff too in WCW. There, like the matches he had with Rey Mysterio was awesome. They had a couple of pay-per-view matches, I recall. But Liger, man, I mean, it's Jushin Thunder Liger. Some other juniors that were very good in that era, some rivals for Liger. You got to talk about Shiro Koshinaki, which I know I'm probably butchering some of these names too, by the way. But hey, I'm Midwestern. I don't know.
That's not what I'm laughing about.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, that's all right.
Can I say what I'm laughing about?
No, go ahead.
I still have Jushin Thunder Liger on my mind. And I just randomly, in my head, played this clip from Pro Wrestling Guerrilla where everyone's sticking their thumbs up everyone's butts. And Jushin Thunder, he's just squeezing them down. And then
yes.
Him.
Oh, my God.
I knew how to have take their thing too serious.
I would totally show that clip right now if we had Mr. B-Roll back with us producing. But yeah, and that clip is awesome too. Okay, all right, yeah, Brent, we got to do this, man. CDC just brought up a great point. I'm gonna look it up. We're talking Jushin Thunder Liger, Buggy, and there is just this amazing clip online from Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. I'm gonna look for it right now. Of course, it's the very first thing. All right. Can you give me control of the board here, Mr. B-Roll? Here we go.
And just look at all these people that are like in wrestling today.
Ciampa's in here. Aleister Black. You've got Chuck Taylor, Jeff Cobb.
I think Pete Dunne's in here too, if I remember right.
Pete Dunne is in here.
Chuck Taylor, Sexy Chucky T.
Chucky T. He's got the best thumb to the ass too. Ciampa's like, oh, it's Jushin Liger. Matt Riddle is in here.
Oh yeah, Riddle's in there too.
Sammy Callahan.
Mm-hmm. The Battle Cat. Oh, Cedric Alexander.
Cedric Alexander's in this clip.
I mean, look at all these names.
Have you seen this clip, B-Roll?
I feel like I have. I feel like somebody else put this on here at one point.
We're talking about the great Jushin Thunder Liger. We're such assholes. We're showing this clip. But it's so funny.
Here comes Tommy in.
Yeah. AKA Aleister Black. Yeah. Or Malk. Yeah.
He's the
Hellcat, Sammy Callahan.
Jushin Thunder Liger is his guy.
I mean, the man has sphincter muscles like no other.
I think we know where this is going.
Yep, here comes Cedric Alexander. Lubing it up.
But I want to go there.
Well, yeah, that'd be nice.
Racing it up.
Yeah, you got to have that.
Fastball. And look at Liger. Bro.
Here we go. Man who we just saw win in the main event in Extreme Rules, about ready to shove his thumb up Cedric Alexander's ass.
Yeah, given the rumors of what's going on with him, it's really not that surprising now.
Yeah. And the Olympic-sized thumb. Here you go with Jeff Cobb.
I think he's got to do it, though.
Oh, Brian Kendrick.
Oh, Brian Kendrick. I forgot. Yeah, Brian Kendricks.
I will. I think that hurt.
This is my favorite. Watch Chuck Taylor. Just watch this. This is why I love sexy Chucky T. Just nonchalantly.
Pete Dunne with his shrug coming up. It's like, okay.
Whatever. Look at this. And
then-
now, look at the power.
And Jushin Liger.
Oh, my God.
I love it.
There you go. Hitting the blows.
I gotta say, I really love strong style. I like a lot of other stuff that I see as well, but comedy wrestling is just so much fun. I
It
love
really is.
when they can just not take it seriously. Like, that's why I actually do enjoy Yano matches. I know
Can
exactly
you
getting out of them.
imagine going to that PWG show and you're like, oh, I'm going to see Jushin Thunder Liger, and you got that, and you're like I would have popped. I would have popped just of the sheer brilliance of it. Like, wow, they just literally did that spot. I loved it. But Liger, definitely one of the all-time, not probably, he is the greatest junior heavyweight in New Japan history by far. Hell, one of the greatest junior heavyweights, cruiserweights, whatever you want to call them, in the entire history of the world of pro wrestling. Some other guys I want to note out, like his rival, I mentioned Shiro Koshinaki. Owen Hart was a former junior heavyweight champion over there and had a really successful run. Got to mention this guy, Pegasus Kid, who, although we all know who he really is. We're talking Chris Benoit. There, I said it. Nobody's kicked us off yet. Okay.
We're gonna get
Yep, that's it. You're done. Shut him down. Yes, well done, and yes, Yano not done well. Ultimo Dragon, which I loved. Ultimo Dragon in WCW. Oh my God.
He is literally his Dragon Sleeper was always the finisher I went to when I did my creative characters in wrestling games.
Yeah. I'm totally right there with you, bro. Love the Acai Moonsault, man. One of the best ones there was. I mean, the Ultimo Dragon. Oh my God. I love too, the time they actually did invest some time into him in WCW. I thought.
They did.
I liked when I think it was at a Clash of the Champions where they did a sit down kind of Mike Tenay did, because remember Mike Tenay back in the day was always the international go-to guy in WCW, and explaining because they called him Ultimate Dragon for for a while, and then it's no, it's actually Ultimo, which is supposed to stand for as the last student of Bruce Lee. So, you met Ultimo last year? That's freaking awesome, Hambone. I just want to know, is there anybody you haven't met yet? My gosh, the man. So, did you get an Ultimo Dragon autograph? And if so, how did that go? I don't think he did, because I don't remember seeing it in one of his TikToks. But Anyways, that's awesome. You met Ultimo Dragon. Hey, another
those iconic scenes too when he just came out, just all those belts.
the J Crowd, yeah, with all 9 belts, and did that. Well, yeah, and yep, he met Sonny Ono too. Nice.
So the first I had heard of Ultimo Dragon was from Colin, Wrestling Colin. He did a video like explaining how he got all those belts.
Yeah, shout out to Colin. His videos are just great. If you just want like just some general wrestling history, those little 1-minute things he does, I love his content.
Yeah, he does great videos.
If you're a newbie like me, like they're like perfect.
Yeah, it really helps explain the history of Japanese wrestling, as well as like it's very quick and efficient. Yeah, he does some amazing videos. Amazing creator. Couple others I want to mention here real quick. The Great Sasuke. You gotta mention the Great Sasuke. He had an awesome run there. And I mean, just working in all sorts of different promotions in Japan, and he was in New Japan there for a little bit of time. And with him, I just remember him being in WWF of all things, wrestling against Taka Michinoku and stuff a couple times there, mainly at the Canadian Stampede pay-per-view, which was a hidden gem of a match. If you've never seen that, check it out. That's a good one. And lastly, I want to mention Shinjiro Otani, another great junior. But let's talk about some of the Gaijin wrestlers, and which I know for some of you who don't know, Gaijin, of course, being your foreign wrestlers over there in Japan. But I want to talk about guys who were like really successful and actually had long tenured runs over there. And of course, the first one you got to mention is Andre the Giant. Andre was always a huge draw over there in Japan. And it was just interesting too to see him like in matches like against Inoki and stuff, and being a completely different style. Whereas here we're used to seeing him just being the typical like giant murdering people pretty much, and like over there, it was more competitive. Let's put it that way. Mentioned Hulk Hogan earlier. Got to give him respect for his run he had there. Of course, when you're talking Gaijins, you got to mention this man, Stan Hansen, the badass from Borger, Texas, baby. Woo! That was a terrible impersonation, but Stan Hansen, awesome guy.
I thought it was awesome.
Thanks. Tiger Jeet Singh, a very popular wrestler from Canada, who had a pretty good run there in the 70s into the 80s, and then even into the early 90s. And one of my favorites. Oh, he's already pouring the shots. Here we go. We're an hour in. He's doing the shots, folks.
I figured I'd do it at Plugapalooza too. So
okay, we're coming up to Plugapalooza too. So you get that drink ready, sir. CDC is already like ready. It's like let's go.
What do you?
Wait for my pour, Brent. Come on, hit me up right here.
Do it. Just do it now, bro. Do it. Do it. Oh. I guess that's more like drinking, but yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Technology. Want to talk about Big Fan Fader. Love watching Fader matches from Japan. Stiff as shit. I mean, shit, man. Like, you got to mention Fader against Stan Hansen, where Stan Hansen hit him so damn hard, he literally knocked his eyeball out. It was like, what the hell? And he popped it back in and was worked the rest of the match. Gotta love wrestling. But Fader's stuff was awesome, especially when he was teaming up with this man, Bam Bam Bigelow. Imagine that team, Fader and Bam Bam Bigelow. Good God. Like, imagine matches with them against like the Steiner brothers. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't think you did, but Brock Lesnar is a former IWGP champion.
I did know that one.
Oh, okay. And Hambone brings up another good one, Bob Sapp, a monster of a man over there, who I will always just remember Bob Sapp mostly from The Longest Yard. I'm sorry, not sorry. He had broken my nose. Such a terrible movie.
I did know that one because it came up on one of my histories. And I don't think I ended up using it because apparently it didn't go over very well. I don't think when he won that. Am I correct in thinking that?
There was issue there because it was some sort of question of legality or something like that. Because I think he had left the WWE abruptly, but because it's international, he was able to wrestle with him. But there was some tension between the situation, and then I think he never even really lost the belt. I think he just never defended it, so they stripped him of it.
They just stripped him of it. Yeah, he had a handful of matches there, not like a whole lot, but still, it was Brock Lesnar, and they're still fun to watch. Him just beat the shit out of an old Masahiro Chono who can barely move around. God bless him. But yeah, you're right. Lesnar was one, as well as Bob Sapp too. Bob Sapp, of course, known as the monster of a man who fought in pride fighting back in the day. But one more I'll mention, Scott Norton. Scott Norton, an arm wrestling champion, just built like a shit brick house. Another guy you just were not going to mess with. And a former multi-time IWGP heavyweight champion, too. I loved, like you talk about comedy wrestling and stuff. This past year, whatever, where they had Scott Norton join the Bullet Club. And Bullet Club was doing the spot, that they do in like those multi-person, and freaking having Scott Norton, this badass of a man, do that spot was freaking had me rolling on the floor, man. Hilarious.
Yeah.
So as you get into the 90s into the 2000s, New Japan really starts to kind of go downhill. They're trying to focus more on like an MMA style, but it's really not working. And Inoki's still like kind of running the company, and it's just like he ends up selling the rights off. And they start to kind of rise up. But one of the guys I want to talk about during that era briefly, really who kind of I think kept the company still going, was my favorite wrestler. Or my second favorite wrestler outside of Goldberg to choose in WCW NWO Revenge, Yuji Nagata. Some Blue Justice! Yuji Nagata was awesome. Him getting the damn armbar and doing the Undertaker, rolling your eyes in the back of your head. Yes. I love me some Blue Justice. The man's still wrestling to this day. So there you go. So now we're going to talk about the rise of New Japan, but it's that time of the show. Mr. B-Roll, you ready to get your shots out? Because it's time for another Plug-a-Palooza Round 2 fight.
Gotta wait for my drop every single time. And let's just say I'm going to save the shot to the end of the Plug-a-Palooza. I mean, CDC is just diving right in. But you know what it is. Let me know if you need
Stop
another
messing
refill,
around,
buddy. Okay? Let me know. I got you. Okay? All right. Can you still hear me?
We can still hear you. You're live, pal. You're good.
Okay. All right. Plug-a-Palooza dose. So, you have found us over here on the Panda Wrestling Company. And did you know, forgot to mention this earlier, did you know if you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to our channel for free.
How much? What?
Free.
That's amazing.
Free.
You know what that gets?
War games! Of war games!
That gets that.
War games!
There he goes. Sorry, buddy. I had to do it.
Okay.
I had to do it.
I'm just going to get another one ready.
Just going to get another one ready. There you
While I'm
go.
doing that, why don't you tell them what we have on Cold TV?
I would love to do that. So Cold TV, we're going to have an exciting week. Tuesday, we're going to have our Extreme Rules reaction vlog, where we checked out Extreme Rules, or I checked out Extreme Rules, and all the madness and the fallout from that. It's a pretty fun, good time, as you all know, especially the fallout from the White Rabbit. Yeah, you're going to want to check it out. That's going to be on Tuesday. On Wednesday, one of Mr. B-Roll's favorite acts in music of all time. You're going to see a very special concert vlog on the Chicks. That's right, the former Dixie Chicks. Like I said at the beginning of this, like it's actually a unique vlog in the sense of like seeing the crowd and seeing like, it's not my cup of tea, but it made my wife happy, and happy wife, happy life. So there you go. And then Thursday, you'll be able to catch a replay of this show on our YouTube channel. But I mentioned this earlier. We have got a brand new subscriber to Cole TV. And Mr. B-Roll, if you could do me the honors of share, I want to share that media file I got pulled up, not to be confused with the share screen file.
Yes. I got
So let's take a look and see who the latest subscriber to Cole TV is, shall we?
Hey, Luigi Primo, and you're watching Ocola TV, where they have the best of pizza every day made by me, Luigi Primo.
There you go. You heard it from the pizza man himself, Luigi Primo. Hey, he's all in on Cole TV. Special thank you to Luigi and a shout out to our good friend Michigan of the show, who got to go to that ARW show on Friday night there in Florida. So yeah, where Luigi competed.
Yeah.
Can't
This
I?
I met in Chicago, right?
Yes, that's him. Yeah, that's our boy. Yep.
So,
Are you going to pull back the curtain? Are you going to go kayfabe on what I told you about? Are you going to reveal the secret? I don't know if the world's ready for this. The man did plug our channel. Come on now. Listen to your heart. If you feel like you need to... Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Okay.
Yeah, don't do it.
Best pizza.
It's the best pizza. Yeah, let's do it that way. So that's pretty much what you got coming up on Cole TV. Hey, I want to talk about learning the ropes here. Y'all need to join us next week because next week's going to be an awesome show. Because guess what? We're going to be talking all things Halloween Havoc. That's right. We're going to talk about the history of Halloween Havoc, talk about some of the greatest matches, and just run down each Halloween Havoc. So it's going to be an awesome episode next week. And hey, we want you all to come back and join us, of course, every week. But October the 30th is going to be our Learn the Ropes Halloween party. We got all sorts of fun shenanigans and stuff planned out. You're going to want to join us. Hope CDC, you're going to have to come back and join us for that party, man. We're dressing up as our favorite wrestlers or dressing up as a wrestler. Got all sorts of games Mr. B-Roll's been working on. It's going to be a fun, good time. And that's October the 30th. Halloween Eve.
Yeah, I think we can get up to 30 or 30. Wow, 10 in here. So, and we want to try to get all 10 boxes full, and it's gonna not be your typical show. It's gonna be kind of just hanging out and playing some games and stuff, and just having fun,
having a good old time.
That is
there
right indeed. CDC, could I get the shirt up one more time for me? That is right. We do have merch. We have Learning the Ropes merch. We have Cole TV merch. Hey, I'm just saying, WWE, we were doing the QR code first. Well, before you were doing all this white rabbit crap, we put a QR code on the back of our T-shirts. So, you're good, CDC. You're good.
They got it from us, bro.
Yeah, they did get it from us. But go on over to Sweet Dollface Creations. Links in my bio. Have it in the comments. I can put it in the comments again. But you can not only get our merch, you can get Panda merch, you can get tons of other content creator merch. And just one last time, I want to mention our buddy Self Bet. He is doing the fundraiser right now for breast cancer awareness. It's his shirt, and it's got the added ribbons to it. And the money raised is going directly to a organization that supports breast cancer and curing breast cancer. So definitely go check that out for sure. I think they even have them in like black or white. So
I think
there you go. Indeed. Let me think here. I know we have one more. Am I missing anything else though? I'm off today for some reason. I'm still recovering. Oh, Rootless Coffee. Use code Panda Coffee to save 15%. All your coffee needs. It's guaranteed to put the mo back in your joe because you know it is a.
Can I do it? Can I do it?
Damn.
Fine cup
of coffee. There you go. And there you go.
Well, we got one more.
Oh.
One more thing, remember? It's our that we debuted last week.
That's right. Our Wrestle Talk Content Creator of the Week. And, of course, our content creator last week is the man right here with us, Mr. CDC. who, if you all aren't following on TikTok, what the hell's your problem? Mr. CDC puts out some awesome content, and we want to highlight another content creator this week, don't we, Mr. B-Roll?
Yes, indeed, we do. This one is, I know he's newer to me. I think you were the one that told me
Yeah,
about
this
him.
guy puts out amazing, like, he's always asking great questions about the history of wrestling. It's usually like your top fives. He does a lot about Impact Wrestling. I want to talk about the one and only Mr. Brian's House of Random. He has got some pretty killer, yes, Queen. Brian's House of Random is our Wrestle Talk content creator of the week. If you're not following him, you totally should. The man asks some excellent questions.
Yeah.
He always
he is trying to get to 1,000 still, so let's get him up there. And hey, we didn't talk about this, but I would say if he sees this and he is watching, he reaches out, we let CDC come on. If he reaches out because he sees this, he is more than welcome to come on.
There you go. That's
If
the
not
goal.
Next week, if not next week, another time.
There you go. But you mentioned to the 1,000. We need to get him. We need to get CDC. I would like to be at 1,000 too. Consider us the three musketeers of Wrestle Talk who need to get to 1,000 followers so we can go live and in color, if you will.
Guys, I have no idea how I got to 1,000.
Well, it's your beautiful face. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I like that you got... Yeah, hell yeah, Hambone. It is, yeah. The more the merrier. We want to spread all sorts of awareness, highlighting different Wrestle Talk content creators, because there's so many of them out there, and there's so many of them that do such an awesome job. And, hey, I've said this before. I'll say it 1,000 times. We're all family. So, yeah. Do it.
I want to go.
And one last reminder, one cheap plug. We're gaining a family member tomorrow. A Mr. Dave LaGreca himself.
And we need to all welcome him with open arms. Everybody go follow him as soon as he posts his TikTok. His TikToks. Guy's hilarious. He's a sweetheart of a man, too. We've had the fortune of meeting before. Super cool dude. And like I say, if you don't listen to their show, Busted Open, it's pretty much Monday. Well, it's Monday through, it's like every day of the week now, I think, more or less. 9 a.m. to noon on Sirius XM Radio, channel 156, Fight Nation.
And then Sundays, you have the Masters Class, which is a free podcast on Spotify. And hey, if you don't feel like paying for Sirius, they do like a short podcast version of the daily show.
Yeah, and they have awesome, like the co-host on there. You've got Bully Ray that's on there a couple days out of the week. You've got Tommy Dreamer, Mark Henry. Now they've added Mickey James is on there every Wednesday. You've got Thunder Rosa's there every Friday. I mean, why are you not listening, y'all? If you aren't listening now, listen to some Busted Open. There you go.
Hey, it's not Mickey James. It's Mickey James.
You jerk. Okay, so behind the curtain here, I'm going to pull back. So we were at Squared Circle Expo 2, and we were waiting in line to go see Hangman Page. And I'm talking to B-Roll, and then right around my corner, I look, I'm like, oh, it's Mickey James. And she just talks to me. She's like, hi. I just felt like a freaking, like, I said it in the most lamest terms, like, oh, it's Mickey James. Anyways. Thanks, buddy. All right.
Why didn't that make it in the vlog? That's all I want to know.
Anywho, moving on.
All right.
So let's get back into our talk of New Japan here. I want to talk about the resurgence of New Japan. And the first guy that comes to mind, the ace. You know we got to talk about him. Hiroshi Tanahashi. Dude, Tanahashi. Oh, wait a minute. Mickey James grabbed and held his hand after bound. That's so awesome. I bet you had a better moment and had me ready to fight Nick Aldis. I can understand, man. She's looking mighty fine. Because, oh, Mickey, you so fine. You so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Hey, Mickey. All right, I had to do it. Sorry. I'd lose, but I'd swing. I'm right there with you, brother. Yeah, I'd get my ass kicked by the National Treasure, but it'd be worth it. But no, Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace. I mean, this is the guy that put them back on the map, and this is the guy reason why we're talking about New Japan. So much so, I think now that he's the first go-to when you think of the face of the company. It's Tanahashi, and the guy can still go. I mean, people equated him to like the equivalent of like John Cena. I don't think that's a bad assessment at all. Whether or not you love Cena or not, same here. Whether or not you love Tanahashi or not, Tanahashi is the freaking man. And you got to talk about the new incarnation there of the Three Musketeers, which was Tanahashi, and the guy who really got me into New Japan Pro Wrestling, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Katsuyori Shibata, which I love me some Shibata. I hope and pray to God somehow we could see him at some point again wrestle. I know they've kind of teased it. I know it's still like, my God, you talk about one of the most vicious moments in wrestling, the freaking match he had with Okada that put him out, that headbutt. Good God, there's one for you to watch B-roll. Like that match was crazy. Like, and just so stiff. Have you ever watched a Shibata match, B-roll? I was gonna say, I don't think you have.
So.
Yeah.
He wasn't at Forbidden Door?
Well, he was at Forbidden Door. Remember, he came out, but like to help Orange Cassidy. Yeah. Yeah. Hambone's right. Just watch anything Shibata. But Shibata was awesome. But I love Shinsuke Nakamura because when I love his story arc. Him and there's one other wrestler in New Japan that's probably my all-time favorite story arcs there. But I love how Nakamura kind of starts off like he has this like he's your typical strong style MMA style fighter, kicking your ass and stuff. They call him like King of Strong Style, but then like when he starts adding the flair, and I really think like when he won the Intercontinental Championship, like number one, he put the Intercontinental title on the map. So much so that Intercontinental title was just as big as the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, hell, they ended up unifying the things. But I just, like I said, for me, seeing him come out, Wrestle Kingdom 9, coming out like with the King's Crown and do with the Michael Jackson and like Freddie Prinze kind of like dance, Freddie Mercury.
I was wondering where you're going with that.
It's like Freddie Prinze, what? Freddie Mercury, like the dance moves and just the style and stuff, like, man. Shinsuke Nakamura. Oh, yeah. That's my other one, Hambone. That's my favorite. Probably my favorite story arc is... Got my Los Ingobernables shirt on here. Tetsuya Naito.
Yeah.
I've said this before, like on our podcast. I don't know if I've said this on our show yet here on Learning the Ropes, but to me, Naito... it's Naito and Hangman are probably my two favorite like character story arcs in the past 10 or 15 years of pro wrestling. You look at Naito, how he got out of tag team wrestling, he elevates himself up to working with like bigger talents throughout the years in New Japan, guys they bring in like a Jeff Hardy or working with the Great Muta and stuff. Finally gets his moment to shine, wins the G1 climax. Guaranteed to be put in the main event against his rival Okada, who he came up with at the same time. And then they get to that Wrestle Kingdom, which I believe is Wrestle Kingdom 8, and the fans are allowed to vote on the main event. So it's either you can get the IWGP Championship, which typically would be your main event, with Naito challenging Okada, or you can get Shinsuke Nakamura against Tanahashi for the Intercontinental title. Well, the fans ended up voting for the IC title match to go on last. So there's some hurt feelings there for his character. Also, too, the fans kind of started turning on him right before like he got his big shot at the Tokyo Dome. So then he goes on excursion, and then he hooks up with some guys like Rush, like Andrade El Idolo.
La Sombra.
Or La Sombra, yes. Yeah. And pretty much adopts that, you know what, fuck it, I'm here, but like I'm not here attitude, and thus brings Los Ingobernables to New Japan and forms Los Ingobernables de Japón. And I just loved how his character changed from like the white meat cut babyface to like, I don't give a fuck, I'm just here, whatever. And like just the way like when he won the Intercontinental title and the way he would treat it because he wants the world title really. He just throw the damn thing in the ring or whatever. Comes down, saunters to the ring so nonchalantly. Finally wins the IWGP Championship for the first time, and of course it pissed me off. He only held the thing for like 3 months or something. I think he only had 2 title defenses. One of them was against Ishii and somebody else. And then he lost it right back, and then like he finally wins that G1 Climax, a second G1 Climax. Gets the shot against Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 11, I think it was, where it's the same year where Jericho's wrestling Omega. So it's like there's controversy of like what's going to be the main event. But thankfully they went with Okada and Naito. And you talk about King's Road storytelling. You think Naito's finally going to get his moment. It all makes sense. Still, Okada goes over, and you're just like, what the fuck, man? Like, come on, man. I want to see Naito with a good run with that belt. But then you go fast forward a couple years later to Wrestle Kingdom, and then they do to where they're unifying the titles, and they have the first 2-night Wrestle Kingdom, and pretty much wins the IC title on night 1 from Jay White. Then he wins the IWGP title from Okada, and there you go. Tetsu Naito. Yeah, Naito is probably my favorite New Japan pro wrestler. What about you, CDC? Who's your favorite New Japan guy in this current era?
In this current era, it's Zack Sabre Jr. I'm just enthralled in every one of his matches. I love the technicality and just that every single match he ends up basically making everybody wrestle his style, regardless if they do that style or not. They just have to come to him and deal with it. But I want to real quick on the Naito thing. I always kind of took it that he felt disrespected by the belt, so that's why he disrespected the belt, because it took away his shine, so that's why he kind of disrespected. So it wasn't the heavyweight title, it's just that he has this title that he has no respect for because it took away his opportunity to be in the main event.
That's a good point. I never really thought of it that way, because that's true with the IC title going on as the main event Wrestle Kingdom. That's a really good point. I never really occurred to me.
I would say circle gets the square.
Yeah. That makes absolutely much more sense than my... Yeah. Wow. Mind blown.
As you were saying that, I remember, I think it was on our way up to Forbidden Door, you were just telling me, like, about him.
I think I spent an hour in the car telling you about Naito's journey and stuff. Like, I was the one I was so bummed too. I was really hoping we were going to see him in Chicago, and we didn't. I'm still holding out hope one day that I can see Naito in person. That's like, for me, the last guy from New Japan who I really am like, damn it, I want to see. I have to see at some point.
They'll be back. They'll be back.
But let's talk about some other wrestlers of this current era who really have been big stars of this era. We got to talk about I say this first one that comes to mind more so kind of like in the early or the late 2000s. But I would pay gross amounts of money to meet Naito and Suzuki. Suzuki would be badass. Oh my God, And Okada, yeah. I remember I popped so fucking loud at like that All Out 2021 when Suzuki came out, like because that was like a huge surprise. I could not believe, like, oh my God. And I was fortunate enough to, I had tickets to that Dynamite in Cincinnati right after All Out 2021, and the main event was Mox against Suzuki. That was a hell of a match. But yeah, Suzuki would be an awesome one to meet. But Togi Makabe is who I was going to mention there. You got to talk about Togi Makabe. I remember the first match I saw of his was like for the never openweight title against Tomohiro Ishii. And you talk about just like two guys beating the hell out of each other. Oh, man. And speaking of which, you got to mention Ishii. We've been lucky enough, Mr. B-Roll and myself have been lucky enough to see 2 of his matches in person. We got to see him against Josh Alexander at the Impact Under Siege, as well as see him.
Amazing match.
Oh my God! And as good as that was, how about that chop fest between him and Eddie Kingston at All Out this year? Holy shit! Ishii, I love some of the Stone Pitbull, man. He just beat the hell out of you. It's tough as hell. Did CDC freeze? So you're just like, oh. I thought you were frozen.
He's
Deep
just
in
really
thought.
good at standing still.
No, I just thought about something. I was gonna look at something real quick. Okay.
Was it on Ishii?
Yes. Here you go, Mr. B-roll. You're gonna have to steal someone's account or spend 999 yen. You're gonna be able to knock out 2 people in once. You want to go to the G1 Climax 23. You want to go to the 5th match, Tomohiro Ishii versus Katsuyori Shibata.
There you go.
There you
It's-
go.
Do
It's
me
funny.
a favor. Do me a favor and message that. And actually, I do subscribe to New Japan World because
Perfect.
I haven't figured out how to cancel it since Dominion, but I need to use it anyway. So
It's funny because at the end of this show, you asked me on a TikTok earlier. I think, do I have a test? No test, but you're gonna have some homework assignments, and definitely there was an Ishii Shibata match I had in mind. It wasn't that one, but that's a damn good one too, though. But yeah,
hey, and I'm
Ishii.
off tomorrow, so like if people want to send me matches to watch, like
There you go.
Off tomorrow, you can just be watching Power Struggle or whatever it's called. Declaration of Power, that's what it's called. That starts in like an hour.
A couple hours. Yeah. Well, I think it used to be called Power Struggle, did it not?
That was what the Burning Spirit. What it used to be Burning Spirit, then I think it became Power Struggle, but because of the 50th anniversary, they're going back to calling stuff some of their older names. So that's why it was called Burning Spirit this last time. This Declaration of Power is just like a one-off show of some type. I don't recall there doing one before, so.
Okay. Interesting.
But it's all day.
Cool. I was gonna we mentioned him earlier, Minoru Suzuki. Oh my God, Murder Grandpa. God, I love Suzuki so much so. And the thing is, he's a badass too. But what I love about Suzuki is the facials with him, and just like him, just looking like just evil and devious, and just like he knows his role, man, and he does a hell of a job playing it. Of course, we talked about Naito. Kota Ibushi, the Golden Start. We got to talk about him. Are you an Ibushi guy? Do you like Ibushi, CDC? Because I feel like it's like kind of maybe.
It's one of those things. Like I like him in spurts, and then I get turned off by his matches. I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah, because they can get a little too spotty at times. I think a little too like over.
My finger on it, but it's just I'll have these runs of his that I'll just enjoy, and then I'll get to some other parts. I'm just not into it. I can't tell you any particular reason or rhyme as to why. I mean, he's a great wrestler. He puts on great matches, but sometimes I'm just not feeling him.
Yeah, I can respect that. I kind of agree in the same vein. And Hambone points out a good point there. Suzuki being it believes his character, it's not a character, and he will beat the shit out of you while he's like drinks a fifth of Jack Daniels or something. Yeah, Suzuki is a bad mother trucker, and
so bad.
Yeah, and of course, we're talking all this. You got to mention the man himself, the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. It amazes me. There's so many things amaze me about Okada, but it amazes me how like Impact had him for a brief time, and they did not do shit with him, and yet he's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world today. I mean, shit. If you pay attention to the PWI 500 this year, he was number 2, only behind your tribal chief. So, I mean, Okada's Okada. Okada is so fucking over, man. Like that when he came out in Chicago, that was the pop of the night. Everybody went ballistic when they heard that coin drop, myself included. I was screaming to the top of my lungs like a little schoolgirl. Dude, Okada. And think of the matches he's had. I mean, yes, the rivalry with Tanahashi, but the rivalry he's had with Omega, the rivalry he's had with Naito. I mean, the list goes on and on. Stuff, the matches he's done with Jay White, the matches he's done with Will Ospreay. I mean, everybody he's worked with, it's just been freaking I mean, I would be curious to look it up and see how many actual 5-star plus matches he's had in his career. It's got to be up there.
I'm on.
There you go. But Okada's definitely the face of the company now, and rightfully so. Obviously, all things are pointing towards it looks like you're going to get Okada and Jay White at Wrestle Kingdom next year. I'm going to assume that what your main event's going to be, unless some injury or something crazy happens between now and then. But I mean, it seems like that's where the story's going. I mean, the rivalry there with Okada and White, and really, if you think about it, with White kind of having his number. And people kind of like, I think some people are kind of on the fence about that, like, oh God, here we go again. We're getting another Okada White story or a Wright story match. But the thing of it is, have they had a bad one yet? No. I mean, they've all been pretty damn good in my opinion. So I love me some Rainmaker though, seriously. Let's talk about some of the gaijins of this new current era. And if you talk about the gaijins we mentioned earlier, notoriously, the one thing they kind of had in common was they were all big men. Well, if you look at gaijins from this era, it's all really like just juniors or guys that can just go in the ring, man. I'm talking about guys like Prince Devitt, of course, Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Kenny Omega. I mentioned Jay White. Even guys, big bruiser guys, not big, but Carl Anderson. He's a stud of a man. The Machine Gun. Yeah, there you go. And then you talk about like really like amazing guys that can go, like Will Ospreay, Jay fucking White, like my man Hambone says. Jay White to me is like, he is just getting better and better and better, and it just amazes me like how he's improved so much so in the past year. But it's not like
that when he came back from excursion to New Japan, I didn't care for him at all. He had his like initial run. He was doing stuff with Tanahashi when Tanahashi was doing that stupid perm, and I could not get into his matches at all. But it's just the more he did, the more it just kind of little shifts and changes. And I mean, he became one of those ones that just can't you not watch matches.
Yeah, when he first came back, it was just I honestly, because I was watching the product, I honestly was like, wait a minute, is that the guy I saw one time in like Ring of Honor? I really didn't know a whole hell lot of Jay White. So like when he came back, that show he came back, if I remember, wasn't it like a World Tag League or something like that? Because it set up the match with him and Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom that year. And I think that was the same show where you got the Jericho reveal. Like Jericho was coming to New Japan, and it's just like maybe it wasn't World Tag League, but it was like one of those shows I know before that Wrestle Kingdom.
I just remember he came back and he had a program he started up with Tanahashi. I think it was New Beginnings in Sapporo or whatever.
That's probably it. Yeah.
I just remember this is funny. I tried to like get my buddies who also watch wrestling into it, so it was like, oh well, this just aired. I haven't watched it. It was like before WrestleMania, I think. And I put it on, and like I couldn't get into the match myself. Like they were totally disinterested. And Tanahashi's sitting there with that freaking perm, and he's going against Jay White. And
he's the ace.
Jeremy, funniest comment ever. He said, "Why is Will Ferrell fighting Edward Norton?" And he said, "Oh my God, Fight Club 2 is a comedy."
Oh my gosh!
Look me. It was so funny.
There you go.
So, honestly, I thought it would be easy to find, but I could not locate how many 5-star matches he's had. But kids at home, I'm cueing you for a drop here, so be ready. You can always
Google it.
War games of war games.
You're such a jerk.
War games.
That's what you meant, right, bro?
Yeah.
No, I think you were looking for Wikipedia that shit. That's the one you were looking for.
You know, I half expect you to hit War Games again.
Yeah, I thought about it, but I was like, I better not. Because we still got a lot more show to go, and we only got here about 20 minutes. So anyways, and of course, we got to mention CDC's favorite, Zack Sabre Jr. And I love how his character has evolved over the years, too. And just being like, okay, and I think any technical wrestler will tell you this right now. Zack Sabre Jr. is the best technical wrestler on the planet right now. Guys like Bryan Danielson will tell you that. You got your ROH Pure Champion right now, and Daniel Garcia. That kid would tell you that. I mean, anybody tell you Zack Sabre Jr. is the best technical wrestler there is right now. Like the stuff he does with like joint manipulation stuff. And I love too his like promos and stuff too. He just doesn't give a fuck. Just does not give a fuck. He fits in perfectly.
Dreams.
He fits in perfectly with Suzuki-gun, man. Perfectly. And
that was a great transition for him too when he went to Suzuki-gun, because that whole situation he already kind of had that little bit of an attitude, but that just put that edge on him that just made him just a killer, and he just never looked back. He's just been great since.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Suzuki-gun, one thing I want to talk about a little bit here, you got to talk about the factions of New Japan Pro Wrestling, where it's like pretty much like everybody, and that's one thing that's different than like a lot of other promotions, especially here in North America, where it's like practically the majority of the roster belongs to some sort of faction. So, I mean, you've got a majority. You've got like, let's see, I'm counting, 5 or 6 big ones pretty much. You got Chaos, which has been around forever. Although I don't think Chaos to me just feels kind of like they're there, but it's not
anymore.
Yeah,
it feels like it might as well just be Hong Tai 2.0.
Yeah, that's a good point, because, I mean, it's just like them mixing up with those guys and stuff. It just, I don't know, Chaos just doesn't feel like Chaos to me. But you can bet your sweet ass when it comes around to Wrestle Kingdom, whatever matches Chaos is in, they're going to win every damn one of them. Oh, what we got here? A little Billy Goat?
United Empire.
Saving that for later.
Oh,
okay. I was like, okay, what the hell? All right, we got a little Billy Goat there. Hey, speaking of which, let's talk about the latest, like, real, like, faction, the United Empire, which at first I was kind of like, okay, this is cool. Will Ospreay's getting his own group. And you got your boy, the Great Ohan, Jeff Cobb in there. But then it's, like, really up there with adding, there you go. There's the Billy Goat. Adding, oh, man, CDC, I'm forgetting his name. The guy who was, like, a white meat babyface for years, and they turned him, yeah, thank you. And United and the Aussie Empire. Holy shit. Or Aussie Open, sorry. Aussie Open. Oh, man. We had the pleasure of seeing those guys perform there at that GCW show. And that was maybe we all did, yeah. And that was maybe match of the night on that show. And I hear the Aussie Open had an amazing match. I don't think it's aired yet with FTR, right? I don't think that's aired yet, but it's going to be.
When does Royal Quest air?
It's in a week, isn't it?
Not aired. It's not aired, and they just have not announced it. They said it's going to be available at a later date.
Okay, but from what we're hearing, it's supposed to be a banger of a match.
I've seen pictures, and I'm like,
I've purposely avoided because I heard the entire show was great. So I've been lucky enough that like nobody I follow talks about New Japan anyway. So.
Hey, we're here right now and learning the ropes, talking about it right now. And you asked CDC who his favorite New Japan wrestler was. If I was to pick one, it's the Billy Goat.
You're going to go with the Commonwealth Kingpin. I can see that because you like your juniors.
I do, and I like my high flyers.
Yeah. And you know what? He's done Ospreay's done a hell of a job too in evolving as well. I mean, he's I enjoy his stuff, like his promo stuff, is like, his heel work he's doing. I like me some Ospreay, and it's gonna be. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen probably sooner than later. I mean, they've already teased it, but Ospreay's gonna have. I would say Ospreay. I could see him winning the G1 next year. I could totally see him winning G1 next year. I think he's going to win it at some point. I think at some point he's going to get that moment at Wrestle Kingdom where he walks out the champ.
You know what'll happen, though? He'll
What's
win
that?
G1, we'll go to Wrestle Kingdom.
Not win it.
And he'll still lose.
He'll
Because
still lose. And then he'll win the G1 maybe a couple years later, and then finally win it after 5 years of the pursuit. But hey, that's New Japan booking for you.
Yes.
So there you go.
But I am here for. I hope it happens. Omega versus Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom this coming year.
Say that again. You want to see what at Wrestle Kingdom this year?
Omega versus Ospreay.
Oh yeah! Holy shit! If they do that, oh baby, yeah, take my money now. Hambone, I like his point he makes about like the scrums, the media scrums. Those are pretty funny. Kenta talking about when I dye my hair, I say more than Okad's, but less than Watto. You hate it? You hate Kenta?
No, Watto.
Oh, Watto. I don't hate him. I don't like him. He's just there. I don't know.
I have made a TikTok about not caring for Watto. Or making mention that I skip about the match because it had Watto in it.
Nice. We were talking about factions. So we mentioned Chaos. We talked about United Empire. Got to talk about Suzuki-gun, of course. Minoru Suzuki's group. Quite a cast of characters throughout the years. My favorite, Los Ingobernables de Japón. And Hambone mentioned some guys earlier. Shingo Takagi, your former IWGP champion. Another guy works at Strong Style. And, of course, Hiromi. Everybody loves Hiromi. But, of course, the faction everybody knows and everybody loves from New Japan, throw it up, the Bullet Club, the Gaijin faction, man. And we all know Bullet Club's been killing it for years. All sorts of different interpretations of them. It's like they're like the NWO if the NWO stayed good for several years. There, I said it. I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry. So, I know, I'm getting kind of some looks like, okay.
But I would just say this about Bullet Club, it's when you wear something Bullet Club, you normally get a comment from someone, either because they actually know what it is, or you guys remember when we were at the that bar,
bar
Rampage, and they're like, "Oh, I love your shirt."
And it's like they didn't even know what Bullet Club.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, they're just like, I like the guns. I get that all the time too, where I'm wearing this or my Bullet Club shirt out in public, like, oh, that's an awesome. I'm terrible with guns. Like, that's an awesome AR-47, brother, or whatever. You ever go out shooting? It's just like, no, not really. But I like wrestling, especially Japanese wrestling. So there you go. But that's just some of the factions in New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's pretty much your standard bears, I would say, and all kind of always feuding. Honestly, feel like it had run its course.
I want to ask you, Hambone. Be quiet. I'm just kidding.
But you gotta admit, I like what the stuff they're doing with Jay White though. I love Jay White as leader. Is awesome. Okay, let me ask you this, CDC.
Bullet Club is for life.
Damn straight. Is House of Torture still part of Bullet Club, or are they a subsidiary Bullet Club, or are they just on their own?
Technically they're still a sub faction, but I feel like it's eventually going to be a branch off. I think.
Yeah, and I will go ahead and say this: you talked about your most hated, you hate Wada. For me, I fucking hate House of Torture. I do not like them. Evil pisses me off. Oh no! It's just it was cool the first 10 or 15 times. They always are cheating and shit, but the shit just is too ridiculous at times for me.
That's why I love it. That's why I love Yano matches. I know exactly what I'm gonna get. That's why I love Evil matches. I know exactly what I'm gonna get.
Yeah. Well, to each his own. Hey, let's talk about some of the tournaments in New Japan, because I mentioned the tournaments is what's really put them on the map, and they've got a ton of them. Of course, the G1 Climax is the tournament of tournaments. The G1, what's always impressed me about it, it's about winning it and getting to that point to where you're getting into the main event. push. But also too, they do a great job in like how they book that tournament and getting over like stars. Like this year, like the stuff they did with Tama.
Oh, forget Tama Tonga is but like they got people like David Finley over finally.
Yeah, that's true.
Even with like very few wins, they made Aaron Hanara look like a stud finally. Like they took these people that have like they've always been decent wrestlers, but for some reason just haven't clicked, and they got to shine this last G1. Even in defeat, they got to shine. Well, obviously David Finley didn't have much defeats, but yes, and absolutely, you are right.
Fantastic.
Oh, they did such a good job, especially because that was his first transition to the heavyweight division.
Heavyweights.
And I feel like they're doing a great job with him, putting him up with Shingo and doing that whole spiel going on with him because, that's Shingo was the same way. They put him in the juniors first, which was ridiculous just based on his size alone. And he kind of, built himself up, over a short period and transitioned to the heavies. And I feel it's a great job that they're doing with basically, having his first, push and move past post G1 to be going up and, dealing with Shingo, who's already in the heavies as well.
Yeah. But the G1's an awesome tournament, and like I say, they just do the book, and the booking on that has to be so freaking intricate too, because of like how you've got that round robin style, and it's like, okay, we got to put this match here, we got to put this match here, because a lot of it's about the chase too, because you get guys who end up winning their block, but it's like they have a slow start or something like that.
And the fact that they had it set up to have that tease for the possible 7-way tie in the D block, that didn't happen, but like it possibly could have on that last day. I so wish that would have happened just because of the nonsense that would have happened afterwards. Yes, I mean, specifically, I think there's too many daddies currently right now in wrestling.
That's it. Yeah.
You follow me on
There's even a poppy.
Yeah, I'm your poppy. I'm your mommy. The New Japan Cup, another one. Which let me ask you this, CDC. Do you think like New Japan Cup is like just too bloated right now? Because I remember back in the day when it was just like an 8 or 16 man. What the shit is it now? Like a 64-man tournament or something? Like it's something absurd, isn't it?
No, that was like I think that was like a bigger one for the 50th anniversary. I think that was just a one-off.
So did it go back to like a 16-man or 8-man format? I missed that.
I'm drawing even a blank, but I feel like it was just a regular the last time around.
Okay, I can't even remember who won New Japan Cup this year. Was it
It was Will Ospreay.
Oh, it was Ospreay. That's right. Yeah, because he ended up getting the title shot. And then of course some other ones. The Best of the Super Juniors. That's always been a phenomenal one, and World Tag League. Big shout outs to those two. And you typically your World Tag League ends up. That's usually at the end of the year, and the winners end up getting a shot at the IWGP Tag Titles at Wrestle Kingdom. So
that's coming up.
Yeah, that'll be coming up here in the next month or so. We'll get started here in around November. So one thing that always impressed me about New Japan, though, I want to say this, is like they've been able to work with pretty much every wrestling company. I mean, you can even go back in the day and look. They worked with WWF. They worked with WCW, of course. Worked with AWA, World Class. And then, I mean, you look at their current relationships they've got now with, like, CMLL, with AEW, working with Revolution Pro Wrestling. Now, so much so, they're finally, like, incorporating even female wrestling by working with Stardom. And I think coming up here in November, aren't they starting that tournament up to have the very first IWGP Women's Champion?
Yes. This is definitely a question for Light Skin Gaijin. He knows way more about this than I do. I don't really follow Stardom very much. I feel like the event, though, is one I'll be missing because it's one of their pay-per-view events included with it. So
you can't catch it on New Japan World then?
Well, you can if you do the pay-per-view pay on it, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that, especially because I don't know a lot about Stardom and don't really follow it too much.
Yeah. I've tried to like I've seen some stuff of Stardom, but it's like I'm not like I don't know, like there's just so much wrestling just to intake, just even from North America. But the stuff I've seen from Stardom looks pretty cool. I mean, I've seen. I kind of what piqued my interest was watching it like in New Japan, like or watching it like at the Wrestle Kingdom and stuff, and getting introduced to some of those stars. Like I can't think of the names honestly; it's escaping me. But the one girl that comes to mind that wears like the tiger mask or whatever, she's really cool. Um, I honestly I can't remember her name, but she was cool. And of course, you remember, we all heard about the sad story there a couple years ago with what was it, Hannah Kimura, I think it was, who tragically ended up taking her own life.
Was that a couple years ago, or was that just last year?
Well, it was during the pandemic, so yeah, maybe it may have been like in the past year or so.
It was something like that. It wasn't long ago, regardless.
Yeah. And then I just kind of remember going, and it's a shame too what happened. That's awful. And then I looked her stuff up and watched some of her stuff. Man, she was an awesome wrestler, from what I saw. But yeah, Stardom is very it's unique. I kind of want to dive more into that, but it's just like there's just not enough time in the day. um, but yeah, it's always impressed me, like with New Japan and everything that all the companies they work with, and it really impresses me too what they've done over the past several years with their expansion into the U.S. I mean, really starting with that first Tour of Asian tour back in 2011, where they introduced the Intercontinental Championship for the first time. I mentioned this earlier. This is what got me into New Japan. Was first time there on pay per view in North America was in 2014 with Wrestle Kingdom 9. Right after that, they pretty much strike up a deal with Access TV, where they're airing like a 1 hour like best of like New Japan show on there, and that's kind of where I really kind of got hooked on New Japan. Was watching it every Friday night on Access TV with Jim Ross and Josh Barnett on the call. But that was pretty interesting watching that. And then, of course, they do the G1 special in 2017, introducing the United States title, and they have the 2-day show, and they have the 8-man tournament. The LA Dojo forming in 2018. And, of course, you got to talk about where they sell out freaking Madison Square Garden in 2019 with the G1 Supercard. And I mean, honestly, to me, I think the whole appeal of that was New Japan. I mean, yeah, Ring of Honor was involved too, but I really think it was because New Japan and the fact that it was like a WrestleMania weekend. So, but you were going to say something. It sounded like.
I was just saying it was Supercard of Honor.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, Supercard of Honor.
And it was Jay White that single-handedly sold out
Easily.
100%. Yeah. And hey, speaking of Jay White, though, it is his birthday today, so
happy birthday, Jay White. There you go. There you go. And then, of course, we got to talk about like the biggest, and I guess I'm just saying this because I'm biased because we were there, Forbidden Door. I mean, come on, man. Forbidden Door was awesome. Speaking of which, I said we were there. Mr. B-Roll, we got a little time. Maybe we can show a little snippet, if you will, of our Forbidden Door vlog that is on our YouTube channel.
But you know what? Before I allow you access to that, I am going to do one very cheap plug here. We are at 88 subscribers currently.
Yes. We're 12 away from 100. And we're going to do something crazy when we get to 100. Don't know what it is yet.
We really want to get to 100 before the end of the year. That would be awesome. We haven't been doing it this long, but we have a lot of fun doing it. I'm trying to get you at it. I don't know what just happened there. There we go.
Here we go. Forbidden Door from our Forbidden Door vlog. You can see here Will Ospreay against Orange Cassidy. Match of the night, which surprised the hell out of a lot of people.
Thank you so much for showing this one.
Yeah, myself included. Because everybody's like, oh, God, that's going to be... And to me, this match really, like, if you weren't a believer in Orange Cassidy, this really put him over the top. And that crowd at the United Center was hot, man. Did you watch Forbidden Door on pay-per-view, CDC?
I did. I wanted to go, but I couldn't get in on the pre-sale, and then the secondary tickets for where I would be able to appreciate the show were just ridiculously priced. So I just decided watch it from home.
We were so incredibly lucky. It's like a whole story, honestly.
We literally both took off the same day of work just so we could buy Forbidden Door tickets. And it was like,
I didn't take off work, but I scheduled my work hours specifically during the time frame when that was supposed to be, and I was set up on a Wi-Fi and everything like that, and it just did not take. And I was so many 1,000 or 5,000, whatever number they cut off, they won't even tell you how far back you are. It was way past that, and I sat on it for forever. And like I said, all the tickets in the better sections were just gone. And could I have sat in the higher up, the cheap seats? Yes, but at that point, then you factor in the travel, you factor in the hotel. Do I really want to see it from the cheap sheets, or at that point would I rather just watch it from home? So I opted for the other.
Yeah, it was. That crowd was
amazing.
Was hot, for sure.
Yeah, we got lucky, like he said, because literally it was he logged in, and then I logged in about 30 or seconds or less after him, and when I logged in, I was about 1,000 people behind him, and then somehow B-Roll was able to get us in there, and we had, and you can see on that vlog too, we had some pretty awesome seats too. We were hashtag blessed. It was meant to be. And the crazy thing is, too, man, just to shout out that show, and we're talking about Forbidden Door, or we're talking about New Japan here tonight, that's the weekend, really, where, I was truly introduced to Wrestle Talk. Because you were telling me about this Panda guy, and I'm like, who is Panda? I didn't know. And that was the first time I met him, the first time I met Russell. And there's so many other guys we met that weekend, too. Spicy Guac, I mean, yeah. And look, here we are now, every Sunday night, doing a show. It's pretty awesome. It's amazing. And that was all because of New Japan, if you think about it, my friend. So
right. I mean, it was, going to All Out and Forbidden Door, very, very blessed. And All Out, it was just, it had its advantage with being at the Now Arena and smaller, intimate. That crowd was, especially during the Acclaim match, and not to get off top, but the magnitude of Forbidden Door.
That's the thing, is the magnitude. Yeah. Well, and the crazy thing is, when you mention All Out, I gotta say this. We've talked about this before. There's a good chance we probably saw CM Punk's last match ever. And how crazy is that? To say that.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. Well, hey, on the show here, let's get to a segment we always like to do, a little fantasy warfare. And I got a hell of a fantasy warfare for you boys here. Probably the two greatest New Japan wrestlers of all time. Who would go over and why? Antonio Inoki versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. How about that matchup? Woo! Like Booker T says, shucky ducky quack quack. That's that.
That should be good. GOODT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel it.
And I'm talking. I'm
both
talking
in their primes.
Both in their prime too. Both in their prime.
I feel like Tanahashi goes over because he's just that heart and soul of New Japan. Even though Inoki, is the foundation.
It's the way I look at it is Inoki knows he's got his golden goose in Tanahashi, and he's gonna put him over, brother. So yeah, I agree. I think Tanahashi would win.
Yeah, I would agree. Honestly, I haven't seen a whole ton of Inoki matches, but I would agree.
I was gonna suggest that, Hambone. Neither, and then Okada just comes out and destroys them all because he's Okada. He's the Rainmaker. It's like both of them have been wrestling for 30 minutes, right? They're beating the hell out of each other. They're both laying there on the ground, and then all of a sudden you hear the coin drop, and Okada comes in and does business. There you go.
That's not how Okada rolls. He'd have to already pre-set it up as a triple threat. He wouldn't just come.
Because it's Okada.
It's Okada. It's the Rainmaker, baby. All right, Mr. B-roll. You're not getting any pop quiz, but are you ready for your homework assignment for the week?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we got you, and CDC, please feel free to add any matches to this. I got you 8 matches from New Japan that I really think you should check out. All right? First one, I'm kind of gonna do this in order from like oldest to newest. First up, I'm gonna take you all the way back to 1983. You got to watch a Dynamite Kid against Tiger Mask match, and why not be the one from July 29th at the Sumo Hall? That's one everybody always talks about, looks back at, and it's just amazing. 1983, this match is so ahead of its time, it's not even funny. The stuff they do in this match, you're like, holy shit, what is this? So that's your first one. Going to continue with the juniors here. Jushin Thunder Liger one-on-one with Pegasus Kid from August 9th of 1990. And of course, I mentioned earlier, Pegasus Kid, don't kick us off, Twitch. Chris Benoit. But yeah, Liger against him, awesome matchup. They had a great series, but that particular one, chef's kiss.
Is that the one where they both made their debuts?
No.
Okay. What am I thinking of? Something else?
I'm not sure what you're thinking of, yeah.
I don't know either.
Because Liger had been wrestling for a little bit, but all right. Fast forward to talk about the original Three Musketeers: Keiji Muda, the Great Muda, against Masahiro Chono in the finals of the G1 Climax 1991. This match is so freaking awesome, and the crowd is insanely into it. And the fact that we're talking about like a Japan crowd, but you'll see like oh my god, man! Especially when it gets to the finish, ooh baby, you need that in your life. And we got to round it out here as far as the Three Musketeers. You need to see a Shinya Hashimoto match. Just about any of them's good, but here's the one I recommend. Check out him against Nobuhiko Takada. And this is for the IWG, I cannot fucking talk. It's for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Battle Formation 1996. Now, let me tell you why this match is important. Because it's getting over Hashimoto as just this, like, unstoppable babyface force. But also, at the time, this is where the seeds were planted, where they got the original story from the NWO invading WCW. Is from this match as well. So, you should check it out for sure.
There you go, yeah.
And then...
I also say I appreciate you because you got them all on our layout. And so, like, I don't have to worry about them writing down. And like I said, I'm off tomorrow, so...
There you go, brother. Get it on New Japan World. If you can't find it there, YouTube, there you go.
Sounds like a good day to piddle around on New Japan World, so...
Heck yeah. Good. And, of course, let's talk about, like, newer matches here in this new era. You got to watch a Tanahashi against an Okada match. The one I recommend is actually Wrestle Kingdom 9. I think is actually my favorite. I don't know. Let me ask you a question, CDC. Do you have a favorite Okada-Tanahashi match? I like 9 because it's like, once again, it's that Kings Road style storytelling, and you think like, okay, here we go. We're finally, the ace is going to be dethroned.
I think that's probably you're probably hitting it right there, because I feel like after that's where you kind of get this transition where they're kind of like buddy almost. So it didn't have the same, anytime it didn't feel the same afterward. I mean, it was still great matches, but after that's where it kind of changed the shift in tone between the two.
Yeah, I totally agree. Couldn't have said it better myself. Hey, you mentioned a Tomohiro Ishii-Katsu or Shibata match earlier. I'm going to throw one on there. How about their battle for the Never Openweight title from Wrestle Kingdom 10? That's an awesome matchup. Another one from that same Wrestle Kingdom. I don't know, B-Roll, you may have seen this, you may not, but got to talk about Shinsuke Nakamura against AJ Styles. Have you seen that match?
I honestly, this is probably gonna shock. I haven't seen like anything AJ Styles in New Japan.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought for a minute you were gonna say anything Nakamura. I was like, oh my god, really? But no, Nakamura against AJ is like it was that dream matchup. Is what everybody was hoping they were gonna get at WrestleMania, but you got it at Wrestle Kingdom beforehand, and yeah, it's an awesome matchup. And rounding out the bunch, got to throw in an Okada Omega match, and why not start off with the first one where it all started, Wrestle Kingdom 11.
You just gotta watch all three. I mean, you
Yeah,
gotta 1, 2, and 3 Okada Omega because it's just great. Especially that second one, just how it ends and some of the spots in it.
the first one, I love the first one so much so because like I was like, this is going to be a good match, but I was not expecting that. I think that's why I love all three of them, like for individually for what they are, and of course I love the third one because of the finish. But man, that first one to me just really stuck out, just because, like I say, like going into it, I was not expecting it to be as good as it was.
I mean, that first one that sold me on New Japan. Period. Yeah. So yeah, it was an amazing match, and of the three, it's my favorite. I'm just saying the second one holds a special spot too, just because of how they built that match.
Yeah, and then the finish of that match, and you're just like, oh my god.
Quiet. Let him watch it.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Yeah. Out of those matches I mentioned, is there any others you can think of, CDC, that he should check out, or anybody, any of our viewers should check out?
I was trying to just think of some stuff off the top of my head. I was trying to look to try and find out what it was in. It's more just because it was a fun match and more of like a throwaway match for one of the like off area ones. And I can't remember what year it was within the last 2 years. I can't remember if it was New Japan Cup or if it was G1 with, weird reductions because they had the juniors in it. But it was a match between Will Ospreay and Bushi of Los Ingobernables de Japón. It was just a fun match, and it had some great comedy pieces to it as well, which was kind of unexpected, but that's what made it so great too. I'll just say multiple referees were involved. Multiple.
There you go. I think one from Ospreys that come to mind as far as like juniors. What about that fatal 4-way from Wrestle Kingdom 12? I think it was. Where it was like him and Marty Scurll.
It's a little awkward at that point.
Yeah, that's true. Still a good match though.
Yes, true. Death taxes and Will Ospreay loses to Marty Scurll.
There you go. But that, yeah, and you can watch any Will Ospreay stuff. You're gonna eat it up. You're gonna love it. But
you did make me think of one when you talked about the Never title at Wrestle Kingdom. I can't remember if it was 11 or 12, but since we kind of talked about Suzuki, we should talk about Suzuki versus Hiroki Goto.
Yes.
Versus hair match. I can't remember if the Never title was involved with it also, but I feel like it was. But it was a hair versus hair match, and that was great.
And that's a guy we didn't really mention tonight is Goto, Hiroki Goto, man. Like you talk about the definition of a wrestler, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. That's it right there, man. Goto, and shit, how many G1s has he won? 2 or 3, I think?
Yeah, I can't remember. This was my kind of feeling. I thought about Goto earlier, but I kind of just let it go. He's one of those ones when I first got on, I gravitated towards him. And like he had great matches and everything like that. But just because I'm thinking about it, because I just mentioned it, I feel like after that match, he kind of just fell off. Like they just didn't have anything for him. They didn't do anything. They didn't, saddled him with Yoshihashi, who I could give 2 shits about.
I'm right there with you, brother.
Yeah.
I never understood like the fascination with Yoshihashi and why he's just like around. Like he just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean he's gotten better, but it's kind of one of those things. Way too little, way too late for at this point. But I mean it's chaos for you. I guess it's still there, but why?
Yep. Absolutely. So, all right, Mr. B-roll, that is your homework for this week, my friend. And hey, we've got one more. All right.
Well, just popped in my head. Kenny Omega versus Tomohiro Ishii for the IWGP Heavyweight title. That match was freaking great.
I thought you were going to talk about the finals of the U.S. tournament. That was a good one too. But you're right. The title,
Look, it was a title match. Like he gave Ishii a title match because Ishii
you're right.
was ones that like always has these great matches and then never gets to be in the title picture.
Yeah, that's all. That's a good point. Yeah, it's going to be a busy Monday for you, but in a good way, my friend. All right, Mr. B-roll, why don't you give us one last plug of Palooza for the night when we close up shop here?
Yes, I most certainly can do that. We thank you all for joining us tonight. For one, we are over here on the Panda Wrestling Company Twitch channel. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and give us a follow. Go ahead and subscribe. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free. And of course, we have to thank our sponsor, a Rootless Coffee. Because it is
Damn!
fine cup of coffee, guaranteed to put the mo back in your Joe. Honestly, the stuff is really good. Like, not blowing smoke, it is good.
Hey, what's the name of the cup of coffee again? It's what?
It's a...
Damn!
Oh my God! Abdullah the Butcher's coming in and attacking Ron! I had to do that because I saw my Abby figure. Yes, I have an Abdullah the Butcher action figure, by the way.
Well, now that whole intro is all forked up.
Sorry, buddy. I had to do that.
It's all good. I was with you when you bought it, so it's all good. But yeah, use code PANACOFFEE to save 15% off all non-collabs. Also, CDC, I'm going to need it one more time.
Oh, look at that shirt. Where can you get that shirt?
You can get that over at Sweet Dollface Creations. Along with that shirt, some of our other shirts for Cool TV, and much, much more over there. Some of your favorite content creators from the PWC, and then on. Got to mention at least one more time, because if you buy one shirt, please buy this one. Our buddy Selfbet, he is doing a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness, where he's added like the ribbons onto the shirt. Comes in black or white. Definitely go swing by and pick one of those up. And one thing we forgot to mention about those, if they have like some stipulations. If he sells 50 shirts,
50, yeah,
he's going to take 10 chops from Nate Slater, which if you don't follow him on TikTok, dude's a big dude. He's a independent wrestler there from Texas, and dude is a big dude and just looks like a beast. Plus, our boy Jaxbo is going to do the one chip challenge. So,
the Pocky chip, right? Yeah, the hot chip.
Yeah, and that's just if they sell 50. If they sell 100, apparently Panda has to take the chops too.
Oh, well, there you go. Just chop away. Nice. Just make sure you buy your shirt. And hey, this week on Cole TV, we've got a fun lineup for you. On Tuesday is going to be our Extreme Rules reaction show. Wednesday is going to be our very special concert vlog from when I went to see the Chicks. On Thursday, you can catch a replay of this show right here over on Cole TV. And speaking of this show, Learning the Ropes, don't forget next week you're going to want to tune in and join us because we're going to be discussing all things Halloween Havoc. We're going to talk about the history of Halloween Havoc as well as some of the greatest matches of all time. We're just going to run the shows down. It's going to be an awesome, good, fun time.
Let's get spooky.
There you go. And October the 30th, don't forget to come join us for our special Learning the Ropes Halloween party, where we're going to have all sorts of fun games and shenanigans. It's like Mr. B-Roll said earlier tonight, it's not going to be your typical Learning the Ropes episode. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to have tons of guests. We're going to dress up. It's going to be awesome, and you're going to be a part of it.
I'm going to get drunk, so.
I'm going to get you drunk. Get you drunk with my lady hump. I butchered that song, but yeah. There we go. Anyways,
You know, it is what it is. It's getting late. But you said, I was going to add one more thought. Speaking of replays, I got to be a part of the Extreme Rules reaction show on here. So it's definitely worth checking out. And if you want to fast forward to the end, I don't blame you, but our reactions to
the White Rabbit.
Brie was losing her shit.
Yeah, she was. I saw that today. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, that was good.
I was literally like this for like...
Yeah, you were just like in awe, and everybody thought your screen froze up. It's like, no, he's still with us.
Yeah, it was... And somebody made out a point today, and I know we need to wrap up the show, but somebody made the point today that they were kind of feeling like the light coming through the door was a tribute to Brody Lee.
Yep, I heard that. That's pretty. If that is in the fact, and that's one thing I think. And like I say, we gotta close up here. But one thing I will say about this whole White Rabbit build and like the reveal and stuff, and there's still plenty more to it. It's just the little drops in the bucket of the little hints here and there. Like I'll point one out to you that I didn't notice until I saw like the replay because I'm like everybody else. We've seen it probably like 5 or 10 times today. When they showed the witch. Did you notice, like, right next to her, like, on some pedestal or something, there was not one, but 2 championship titles?
I think those are titles.
Huh?
I think that was a span title. Someone just sat him down on the banister. I saw it, too, but I didn't think anything of it.
Oh, I thought, well, I was thinking maybe it was a reference to Alexa Bliss or something, but who knows? It could be her, or it could be, like, and that's another thing, too. We're talking about this, the Wyatt Six. Who the hell's the Wyatt Six? I mean, that's just the beautiful thing about pro wrestling. Like, it's just like the ongoing storytelling and just it makes you want to tune in. I know I want to see Monday Night Raw for the first time in a long time tomorrow. And speaking of Monday Night Raw tomorrow, don't forget to tune in here over on the Panda Wrestling Network and watch Raw with Russell, as Russell is going to watch Monday Night Raw. And it'll probably be actually a good Monday Night Raw. So, yeah, don't forget to tune in tomorrow.
Like, hey, yeah, like last week, I think he had Self-Bet and Jaxpo with him, so I wouldn't be surprised if he either has them or maybe some other guests too, because not only is it Raw with Wrestle, but they talk some football too, so there you go.
And it's football season's in the air. Well, hey,
speaking of football, I think I'm going to win in our fantasy league.
I'm going to get my ass kicked. I'm terrible this year, but that's neither here nor there. Hey, we want to thank our very special guest, Mr. the CDC 83. We loved having you on, buddy, and you got to come on again, man. It was awesome talking New Japan. We can talk all sorts of fun stuff. And hey, if y'all aren't following him on TikTok, what the hell's your problem? You need to follow the man. He's got some awesome content. Is there anything else you want to plug, CDC?
No, I don't have anything special yet.
That's the key word.
Yes.
But if I could, just indulge me for just one more minute. Shoot, we're just going way over time on this one anyway, but who cares? There's not a show after us. But type of guy CDC is, and I've said this before, but might as well say it to his face on the show. We're at the DCW show. I'm in line to get my merch. Calls me over. He's like, psst, psst. Holds up a bucket of beer. Dude is the man. Dude is the man.
I am the man.
You are.
Friends for life.
Too.
Very humble and kind. But seriously, y'all need to follow this man on the TikTok. And don't forget, speaking of TikTok, that's one last thing we need to plug. Everybody, jump over on Wrestle Talk tomorrow and look for the man, the myth, the legend himself. Dave LaGreca is joining Wrestle Talk. All thanks to Mr. B-Roll right here. So let's welcome him with open arms. Flood his TikTok. Like,
he
comment.
Better follow me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he better follow us. There you go. All right. And on that note, that's going to wrap it up for Learning the Ropes tonight. I'm XLJ, the OG, along with Mr. B-Roll and a very special guest, the CDC 83. And don't forget to join us next week for as we talk about Halloween Havoc. Oh, yeah!
No,
I always think of Weird Al's version.
Sorry, guys. All right.
That's okay. All right.